Hey, it's AAA, and welcome to a very serious video. I knew at some point I'd have to make this, and today is that day. Today I will be talking about how YouTube saved my life, and my experiences with bullying. The background footage you're seeing is me just cleaning up around Tripp's World, mainly destroying that old mob spawner that didn't hardly work at all. A few things before this video starts properly. First, as you may tell, I'm very emotional about this because this is a very sensitive topic to me. A few things I would like to say beforehand. First of them being, everything I say in this video is indeed fact. I'm not making this up. This isn't some publicity stunt. This isn't a like and subscriber scam. This is my past. This is what I lived through. I had to live with everything I'm going to talk about in this video. And if you don't believe me, fair enough. You're entitled to your disbelief, as though you're also entitled to believe. However, comments of that sort of thing, as well as any form of hate comments, will be removed from this video. Since this is a very, very sensitive topic to me, I don't want people's negativity negatively affecting me or anyone else. So those comments will be removed without a question. And also, I may block you as well if you are leaving that form of negative comments, because I really don't want that on my channel. Next is, I am going through a lot of emotions while I make this video, so please cut me some slack if I stumble over my words a bit. I actually just crashed, ironically, on the gameplay footage you're seeing. Some great bug fix update, Mojang. Anyways, if I'm stumbling over my words or something of that nature, it's because I'm very emotional by this. It's a very serious matter for me. It's extremely emotional for me. Mainly because today marks 2 years since the incident I'll talk about in this video. Also, this is not for publicity, this is not for views, and also this is not for money. This video will never be monetized. So, throwing that out there. And I guess it's time for me to start. The story begins in the 4th grade, which would be 5 years ago? Yes, around 5 years ago. Is when the bullying started. I was bullied by a group of kids. Not just a single one at first, but a group of them. Fairly large group of them as well. For some reason, the Minecraft background footage keeps crashing. Not sure why. And in 4th grade, I was in a pretty decently sized class, and I was very much the nerd. I was the kid everyone loved to make fun of. It was terrible. I was able to cope with it. I dealt with it. I was able to just be on my way. I just kind of ignored them. But it still hurt, but I just pretended that it didn't, so they wouldn't feel like they had won. 4th grade ended rather uneventfully. Then 5th grade began. Somehow in the span of less than a year, the bullying at least doubled in intensity. There was more of them now. The class had greatly grown in size between 4th and 5th grade. And the bullying got far worse. I was very badly verbally bullied, and it hurt me very emotionally. I know a lot of people, like, if you aren't beaten up by a bully, they don't consider it bullying. But honestly, as someone who's had both, I think the emotional stuff was even worse. The things they'd say and the things they do just cuts into you worse than most knives ever can. Or any knife ever can in a lot of cases. 5th grade, the bullying started to take a toll. I was getting very depressed, very down, and I wasn't really sure what to do. Then 6th grade happened, and I thought 5th grade was bad. In 6th grade, it got worse. There was less of them, but it was far worse in every regard. Because in 6th grade, that's when things started to get physical. Granted, it wasn't all that often as it would be in the future, but it was still very bad. Yes, I did get the stereotypical book check. I got lockers slammed at me. They would intentionally try to embarrass me by making up lies or rumors to try to get me in trouble or to see how I'd react. Because throughout the entire time I was bullied, I never attacked back. I never fought fire with fire. And honestly, 2 years after fire was fought with me, I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't be able to say this story as bravely as I'm able to right now, because I didn't retaliate. I didn't fight back. I turned the other cheek the Christian way, and one of the main reasons I just let myself take it was because I didn't want them bullying the other kids. Because I was going to be the target of their bullying anyway. I was the stereotypical nerd. I was big, I was lanky, I was extremely unattractive, I didn't have any friends, so it was something I dealt with. Then 7th grade happened. Those of you who haven't completed 7th grade, most people don't like 7th grade. For me, it was worse than most people can ever imagine. 7th grade was my hell. In 7th grade, a lot of things happened. To name a few, on the DC trip, in 7th grade, I was left with around 2 really bad bullies. One of whose parents disliked me so much, I was in a wheelchair at the time because I have a bad leg and lots of joint problems and stuff. I got pushed down a monument in a wheelchair, down the stairs, on the school trip by my chaperoning parent, who was my worst bully's dad. 7th grade was really bad. The emotional bullying was worse, the physical was worse. And then in 7th grade, I was on student council. One of my fellow student councilmen was also one of my bullies, and he issued me a death threat. And I'm not just saying like that he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you, bro." No, he was very gloriously detailed. And I apologize about the background footage that it keeps crashing. There's nothing I can do about that. Honestly, I would say it, but it's so grotesque, I think YouTube would take down the video. It was extremely bad, very gorily described, and to be honest, I was scared. Granted, I'm big. I'm a very tall guy. If you haven't heard me mention in my other videos, I'm very tall, like abnormally tall. I'm also decently strong, despite my inabilities, but I was honestly scared because I didn't know if this kid was capable of what he claimed he was capable of. Even if he's not, how could he hate me enough to want me to die, let alone to want to do it himself? And that just, believe it or not, that's not even the worst thing that happened that year. In 7th grade, I was attacked. I was on a swing set. Bully came up behind me. hit me full force in the back of the head with a projectile, a football to be specific, and it greatly damaged my neck, my brain. It did a number on me. I lost vision in my right eye, and I didn't return back that year. I had a very bad concussion, and quite honestly, it very nearly could have killed me. Had things gone ever so slightly different, I wouldn't be alive telling you this incident. And at this point, not only was I scared, I had fallen into a period of depression again, because I was just so... I couldn't believe... Oh yes, and by the way, I'm changing background footage right now. I couldn't believe the fact that someone disliked me so much that they would do that to me. And it was bad. And summer of 7th grade, beginning of 8th grade, I reached a period of being suicidal. I was done. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I'm sorry if this is going to be a long video, but it's important. I reached a period that I was so suicidal, I was sent to the hospital. I was in their care for 1 week, nonstop, and then I was in a PHP program for another 2. PHP is partial hospitalization. So I was at the hospital most of the day, but I got to sleep at home and stuff. And honestly, when I was done with those programs, I was still fairly suicidal. I couldn't deal with the emotional pain and the physical pain anymore, because one of the things that set in because of the incident described is a mental condition called PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. It's where someone who witnesses or lives a very stressful event that their brain is unable to move on, and it makes it very hard to move on. PTSD is most often used for soldiers, people who've returned from war, and honestly, it's terrible. I've lived with it for 2 years now, and it's the worst thing it's the worst thing I've ever had to deal with mentally by leaps and bounds. Because not only do you relive the memories constantly, but you also relive the emotions, the pain. Everything connected to that event never really goes away for you. And now for the slightly happier part of the video, is how that got turned around. Once I got out of the hospital, someone recommended to me that I check out YouTube gaming, because they knew I was a very avid gamer, and they thought it could be fun for me. That's when I found the Stampy Longnose channel. The first channel I ever watched and ever subscribed to on YouTube was Stampy. His videos were just so happy and so uplifting, and so there was so much happiness that it made me feel happier. It made me feel better. And the fact that it made me feel better was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. And I continued to watch YouTube. I still do. Not only do I make content now, but I still watch it. And honestly, the YouTube community as a whole has undoubtedly saved my life. Because I was still suicidal when I got out of that hospital. I was still having suicidal ideations. I was still extremely depressed. But I was able to deal with it. I was able to cope with it. Thanks to people like Stampy, like Squishy, like Amy Lee. A lot of people think that YouTube isn't a real job because you just sit in front of a computer, you talk, you play video games. That's all you do. But honestly, people like the people I've mentioned, also Netty Plays, pretty much the entire Magic Animal Club, they literally saved my life. And it doesn't get more effective than that. And now I started YouTube myself. One of the main reasons I did so was that my happy videos, my positivity could help other people. Because I knew how much they helped me, and I wanted to give that back. I'm sorry that this was a very long and emotional video, but I needed to make this. And thank you to not only YouTube as a whole, not only the YouTube community, but all of the Triple Team. Also, every single one of those YouTubers that helped me through dealing with my depression and my PTSD. I have lots of examples from not only gamers, also Dan Bull, he helped me out a lot. Even some non-PG gamers like Nerd Cubed, in the Littlewood, honestly helped me. These guys have honestly saved my life. So thank you. Thank you very much. And other than that,
hello, what's happening? It's that man in black and green. Sometimes sweet and saccharine, sometimes he be as mad as me. Insanity, persistently, forever entertaining the man in green. This is Triple